Good day, I'm Precious Bituin. I'll be reporting the second part of agreement, case, and A movement. The first slide is agreement and A movement. We have seen that agreement plays an important role not only in valuing the P features of T but also in valuing the case features of nominals. However, as we will see in this section, there is also evidence that agreement also plays an important role in A movement. To see why, let's return to consider the derivation of our earlier sentence in number 6b, they were arrested. Assume that the derivation proceeds as sketched earlier until we reach the stage of derivation in 16 above, repeated as number 42 in the next slide. In 42, the diagram below, tens B is an active probe by virtue of its uninterpretable person and number features and has an uninterpretable EPP feature. It therefore searches for an active goal which can value and delete its person or number features, locating the pronoun they, which is active by virtue of its uninterpretable case feature and which has person and number features that can match those of B. Since the matching goal, they, is a definite pronoun, the APP feature of tens B cannot be deleted by merging an expletive in spec T, but rather can only be deleted by movement of the goal to spec T. Accordingly, they moves to become the specifier of B. Assuming that agreement, case marking, and feature deletion work as before, the structure which is formed at the end of the T cycle will be shown to the next slide. The diagram number 43 explain that to avoid excessive visual clutter, the trace copy of they left behind in BP complement position is shown here simply as they, but it is in fact an identical copy of they containing the same features as they. The TP in 43 is subsequently merged with a null declarative force C, so terminating the syntactic derivation. Since all uninterpretable features have been deleted, the derivation converges. Example, results in a syntactic structure which can subsequently be mapped into well-formed phonetic and semantic representations. A key assumption underlying the analysis sketch here is that T triggers movement of a goal with which it agrees in person or number. In a passive sentence like number 5b, they were arrested, the goal which agrees with T and which moves to spec T is the thematic complement of the verb arrested. But in an active sentence like he has arrested them, it is the subject he which agrees with T and moves to spec T and not the complement them. Why should this be? In order to answer this question, let's look how number 44 is derived. The verb arrested merge with its theme complement them to form the B bar arrested them. This B bar is in turn merged with its agent argument he to form the VP he arrested them. The resulting VP is then merged with the present tense T constituent to form the T bar shown in simplified form in the next slide. This will be the simplified form in number 44 in diagram 45. T serves as a probe at this point and looks for a goal to value and delete its unvalued person or number features. T can agree with the complement of a verb. An important question to ask is why T can't agree with the complement them in the active structure like number 45, and why in fact have must agree with the subject he and hence is ultimately spelled out as the third person singular present tense form has. One reason is that by the time we reach the stage of derivation in number 45 above, the pronoun them will already have had its case feature valued as accusative and deleted, and so will no longer be active or case agreement operations. If all structural case assignment involves agreement, it follows that accusative case assignment will be discussed on the next slide. Accusative case assignment. An unvalued case feature on a goal is valued as accusative via agreement with a transitive probe. Agreement between a transitive verb and its object is invisible in English, but is visible in languages like Swahili with overt object agreement morphology. The earliest principle, the pronoun them in 45, will have had its case feature valued as accusative and deleted via agreement with the transitive verb arrested on the V cycle, and so be inactive for subsequent case or agreement operation by the time we reach the T cycle in number 45 above. When the T-probe have searches for a goal in number 45, the only active goal with an unvalued case feature which it locates is the pronoun he. Have agrees with, assigns nominative case to, and attracts he to move to spec T, so forming a TP whose overt constituents are he has arrested them. Merging the resulting TP with a non-declarative complementizer derives a structure associated with number 44, he has arrested them. A second reason why the T-probe can't agree with the object them in number 45. We suggested earlier that a head probes only as far as it needs to in order to ensure that all its unvalued features are valued. When T have probes in number 45, the closest goal which is locates is the subject he. Since he can value all the unvalued person or number agreement features on T, there is no need for T to probe any further, and therefore, in consequence of the economic condition, no possibility of T probing further and agreeing with the object them. The next topic is EPP and agreement in control infinitives. The analysis presented in the previous section assumes that a finite T carries an EPP feature which, in conjunction with agreement, drives a movement. In the previous chapter, we argued that in infinitival 2 in a control clause like that bracketed in 47a below has an EPP feature which attracts pro to move out of the PP in which originates into spec T in the manner indicated by the arrow in number 47b. Let's likewise suppose that PRO is assigned null case by agreement with a C commanding T with null non-finite tens in much the same way as subject in tense clauses are assigned nominative case by agreement with a C commanding T which has finite or present or past tense. More specifically, let's assume that 2 in control infinitives contains not only an abstract non-finite tense feature but also abstract P features, and let's further suppose that null case assignment can be characterized informally as follows in number 48. Null case assignment and valued case feature on a pronoun goal is valued as null via agreement with a T-probe carrying null or non-finite tense. In the light of these assumptions, consider the derivation of the bracketed control clause in number 49. They have decided to help you. Decide is a control predicate, as we see from the fact that number 49 is paraphrasable as they have decided that they will help you. and from the fact that decide does not allow an expletive subject in a sentence like there has decided to be an inquiry. Given the VP eternal subject hypothesis, the PRO subject of the bracketed infinitive clause will originate in spec V as the specifier of help you. More specifically, the derivation proceeds as follows. The verb help merge with its complement you, and the resulting V-bar help you in turn merge with its PRO subject to form the VP PRO help you. Merging control 2 with this VP forms the T-bar to PRO help you. Let's suppose that since PRO refers back to day in 49, PRO as used here carries the interpretable features. And let's also suppose that PRO enters the derivation with an unvalued case feature U case. In addition, let's assume that control 2 carries an interpretable non-finite tense feature, has interpretable and unvalued person or number features. And finally, let's assume that 2 carries an EPP feature in control clauses. Given all these assumptions, merging 2 with VP-PRO help you will form the T-bar in number 50 below, simplified by showing only features and constituent of immediate concern. Since 2 is the highest head in the structure and is active by virtue of its uninterpretable P features, it serves as a probe which searches for a go-to value and delete its P features. Since 2 C commands PRO and PRO is active by virtue of its uninterpretable case feature, probe can serve as a goal for the probe. 2. The unvalued P features on the probe are assigned the same third-person plural values as those on the goal by agreement in number 58 in number 8 are deleted by feature deletion in number 14. The unvalued case feature on PRO is assigned the value null case by null case assignment in number 48 and deleted by feature deletion in number 14. The EPP feature of 2 is deleted by movement of PRO to spec P. The result of applying this various operation is to derive the TP shown in simplified form in number 51 below. The resulting of number 51, TP is subsequently merged with the non-finite complementizer which introduced control clauses as required. The structure which will serve as input to the semantic component contains only bold printed interpretable features, all uninterpretable features having been deleted. The next topic is EPP and person agreement in defective clauses. In 7.7, we suggested that a finite P has an EPP feature which triggers movement of the closest active matching goal to spec T in conformity with the attract closest condition. In 7.8, we suggested that control 2 likewise carries an EPP feature triggers movement of the closest active goal to spec T. In this chapter or topic, we make the unitary assumption that all T constituents in English have an EPP feature. It follows that raising 2 will likewise carry an EPP feature. A piece of empirical evidence which lends support to this claim comes from the syntax of the italized floating quantifiers in sentences such as the following in number 52. One way of accounting for such structures is to suppose that the QP, both or all the boys, originates as the complement of the passive participle treated and then moves to become the specifier of infinitival 2. Subsequently, the DP, the boys, moves on its own to become the the specifier of the T auxiliary would, leaving the quantifying all or both floating or stranded as the specifier of infinitival 2. From this perspective, the floating or stranded quantifier provides evidence of a movement through the specifier of a detective infinitival clause. A further piece of evidence leading to the same conclusion is offered by Chomsky 2001 on the basis of somewhat contrived sentences like number 53 in the next slide. In, in sentence number 53, explain, here himself refers to John, not to Fred. This is puzzling if we assume that the antecedent of a reflexive must be an argument locally C-commanding the reflexive and hence contained within the same TP as the reflexive. Since if racing 2 has no EPP feature and John moves directly from being the subject of the like clause to becoming the subject of the same clause, the left-hand bracketed TP containing the reflexive will contain no antecedent for himself, and hence we will wrongly predict that the structures like number 53 are ill-formed. By contrast, argues Chomsky, if we posit that racing 2 does indeed have an EPP feature, John will move from being subject of like Mary to becoming subject of to like Mary, and then later becoming subject of to appear to himself to like Mary, before finally moving to become the subject of the nullity constituent in the same clause. This will mean that a null copy of John is left behind as the subject of each of the two infinitive clauses, as shown in skeletal form in number 54 below. Since the reflexive himself is locally C-commanded by the bold printed copy John in number 54 within the left-hand bracketed TP containing the reflexive, correctly predicts that himself will be interpreted as referring to John. Recall that lower copies of move constituents are deleted in the phonological component but remain visible in the syntactic and semantic components. Structures like number 53 suggest racing 2 must have an EPP feature triggering movement of an argument to spec T, but it's important to bear in mind that the EPP feature on T works in conjunction with the person or number P features of T. More specifically, the EPP feature on T triggers movement to spec T of an active goal which T agrees with in respect of one or more P features. Example, in person or number or both. If therefore follows that T in racing clauses must carry one or more P features, if it is to trigger movement of a goal carrying P features of its own. Now, it clearly cannot be the case that racing 2 carries both person and number, since if it did, we would wrongly predict that racing clauses require a null PRO subject, given that infinitival 2 assigns null case to its subject. In number 48, when carrying both person and number, the conclusion we reach, therefore, is that racing 2 must carry only one P feature. Before we proceed to the number 55, there is a question in number 54, which P feature a person or a number. So the answer will be is provided in number 55 sentence. On the assumption that racing 2 carries an EPP feature requiring it to attract a subject, that expletive pronoun there will raise in successive cyclic fashion from its original position as the specifier of the accusative verb remain to become the specifier of infinitival 2, and thereafter raise still further to become the specifier of the present tense T auxiliary do. In the manner shown by the arrows in the skeletal structure in number 56 below, it explains that if the EPP feature on T constituent attracts a goal which the probe agrees with in respect of one or more P features, movement of there to become the specifier of raising 2 on the subordinate clause. T cycle means that the P feature carried by 2 in 56 must match that carried by expletive there. We argue in 7.6 that expletive there carries person but not number. It follows that 2 in 56 must carry a person feature. This being so that APP feature of racing 2 will require it to project a specifier carrying a person feature and expletive there clearly satisfy this requirement. Conclusions can be generalized from raising sentences like in number 55 to long distance expletive passives like in number 57 letter A below, above, in the involving the movement operation arrowed in number 57 letter B. Passive 2, example, the kind of 2 found in long-distance passives cannot carry both person and number features, since otherwise it would wrongly be predicted to require a subject with null case. Since there is attracted to become the specifier of 2 in 57b, and there has a person feature, it seems reasonable to conclude that passive 2, like raising 2, carries person but not number. We can generalize our findings still further to infinitival PPs like those bracketed in number 58 letter A and B, and also in number 59 A and B. The bracketed TPs in number 58 are ECM clauses. The visit The visitors originates as the thematic complement of the passive verb met in 58a, but ends up as the subject of tense 2. It is clear that the head T of the bracketed complement clause TP must contain an EPP feature and at least one P feature. Uh, the infinitive subject can be expletive there in number 58b, and since there carries only person, it follows that the head T of an ECM clause must carry a person feature as well as an EPP feature. We suppose that non-finite T which carries a full set of person and number features like the head T of a control clause assign null case to its subject, then it is apparent from the fact that the subject of an ECM clause is an overt constituent and hence does not have null case that the head T of an ECM clause must also be defective and so carry an EPP feature and a person feature but no number feature. Our conclusion can be generalized in straightforward fashion to for infinitive structures like those bracketed in 59. If we define ECM structures as structures in which a constituent within TP is assigned case by an external head lying outside the relevant TP, it follows that four infinitives are also ECM structures. Our argumentation here leads us to the following more general conclusion about the feature composition of T in English. T always carries an EPP feature and a person feature in all types of finite and non-finite main and complement clauses. Second, T also carries a number of features in complete clauses, which are CPs, example in finite clauses and control clauses, though not in defective clauses, which are only TPs, hence not in racing clauses or long-distance passives or ECM clauses. In number 61 sentence, explain that the bracketed infinitive complement in 61 is the TP complement of the raising adjective likely. It is a defective clause and so tends to will carry an interpretable EPP and persons features but no number feature in accordance with number 60 I 1 and 2. It means that at the point where 2 is merged with its complement, we have the structure shown in the skeletal form in number 62. Since tens 2 is the highest head in the structure at this point and is active by virtue of its uninterpretable person feature, tends to serves as a probe which searches for an active goal and locates several prizes which is active by virtue of its unvalued case feature. The unvalued person feature on the probe 2 is valued as third person and deleted via agreement in person with a goal several prizes. Uh, what of the unvalued case feature on the goal several prizes? This cannot be valued by infinitival 2, infinitival 2 in number 62 because 2 is not a case assigner, and more generally, it would seem that only non-defective probes can be structural case assigners. The case feature of several prizes cannot be deleted either on the assumption that an unvalued feature can only be deleted as part of an operation which values it. The the EPP feature of 2 is deleted by the movement of several prizes to spec T. Thereby, the deriving the structures in the next slide will be the number 63. In number 63 and 64, first, 63, note that several prizes remains active at this point because its uninterpretable case feature has not yet been valued or deleted. Merging the structure 63 with the raising adjective likely, merging the resulting AP with a passive verb, thought, and then merging the resulting VP with a finite present tense, present tense the constituent containing B will derive in number 64. It is in the overall PP structure and is active by virtue of its uninterpretable P features. B serves as a probe which searches for an active goal and locates several prizes, which is active by virtue of the fact that its uninterpretable case feature has not been valued or deleted at this point. Consequently, the goal several prizes values and deletes the uninterpretable person and number features of the probe B. Virtue of being finite and non-defective, B values the unvalued case feature of the agreeing nominal several prizes as nominative and deletes it. The EPP feature of B is deleted by moving several prizes to spec T derives in number 65. The resulting TP is subsequently merged with a null declarative complementizer and B is ultimately spelled out as R. All unvalued features have been valued and all uninterpretable features have been deleted. The derivation converges. Example results in a well-formed structure which can be assigned an appropriate phonetic representation and an appropriate semantic representation. The last topic is defective clauses with expletive subjects. In the previous section, we look at the syntax of defective clauses which have thematic subjects. In this section, we turn to look at defective clauses with expletive subjects. We will begin by comparing the derivation of number 61 in the next slide of the corresponding expletive sentence. Number 66, they are thought likely to be awarded several prizes. The passive verb awarded merges with its complement several prizes to form the V-bar awarded several prizes. The eternal argument several prizes is indefinite. The resulting V-bar can be merged with the expletive pronoun there in accordance with the indefiniteness condition 32, numerical 2 above, to form the VP there awarded several prizes. Uh, VP is this VP is then merged with the passive auxiliary B to form the aux P there awarded several prizes. The aux P is subsequently merged with infinitival 2, which by virtue of heading the complement of raising adjective likely is a defective T constituent carrying a person and EPP feature only. The structure shown in skeletal below in number 67, it explained that infinitival 2, by virtue of being head of the overall structure and being active, serves as a probe and identifies there as the closest active goal, which can value its unvalued person feature. Agreement in person between two and the third person expletive pronoun there results in the unvalued person feature on two being valued as third person via number 8, and in the interpretable person feature on both two and their being deleted. The EPP feature on two attracts there to become the subject or specifier of two. Closer reflection suggests that there is something wrong with the story told in the previous paragraph. The problem is that the person feature on there is deleted via agreement with the infinitival 2. There will be inactivated at the end of the T cycle once it has moved to become the specifier of infinitival 2, and this will be wrongly predict that the sentences in grammatical will proceed to the next slide. Sentence number 68, it is thought like later to be awarded several prizes. However, the fact that this sentence is ungrammatical while that in 66 above is grammatical suggests that there does not have its person feature deleted or inactivated at this point. Why should this be? The answer lies in a condition on deletion of case or agreement features which we can outline in the following terms. In number 69, completeness condition. An interpretable case or agreement feature and constituent is deleted when agrees with a complete constituent. Example, with a non-defective which carries a complete set of features, both person and number. The uninterpretable person feature and the expletive goal there cannot be deleted by the T-probe 2 in number 67 because 2 is a defective probe by virtue of carrying person but not number, and only agreement with a complete probe, example 1 with both person and number, can delete case agreement feature on a goal. The EPP feature on to triggers movement of the closest active goal is equals there to spec T, and if movement of any goal, whether complete or not, to spec T deletes the EPP feature on T and thereby deleted in the next slide number 70. Merging the TP in 70 with the raising adjective likely, merging the resulting AP with the passive verb thought, and merging the resulting BP with the present tense, T containing B will derive in number 70, in number 71. At this point, T, B, or times B is the highest head in the overall structure and so serve as a probe. It is an interpretable person and number features make it active and mean that TB looks for one or more active goals which can value its person or number features. When TB probes the closest active goal which it locates is the expletive pronoun there, active by virtue of its undeleted, uninterpretable third-person feature. Because expletive there is a defective pronoun carrying only person and not number, there can value but cannot deleted. Only the person feature on tense B and lacking number there can neither value nor delete the number feature of tense B. Let us suppose that economy requirements impose the following condition on probe as indeed we assumed earlier in number 72 probe condition. A head probes only as far as is needed in order to find a goal which can value any unvalued features on the probe and delete any uninterpretable feature on the probe. This will mean that TB in number 71 must probe beyond there in order to find a goal which can both value and delete all its features. TB therefore probes further and locates the next closest active goal, which is quantifier phrase several prices, active by virtue of its undeleted, uninterpretable case feature and carrying both person and number features. Accordingly, the probe B simultaneously agrees with both there and several prices, the unvalued person feature of B will be valued as third person via agreement with the third person goals there and several prices, and the unvalued number feature of B will be valued as plural via agreement with the plural goal several prices. The uninterpretable person or number feature on the probe B are deleted in accordance with the several completeness condition in number 69 because B agrees with the complete goal several prizes. The unvalued case feature on the goal several prizes will be valued as nominative via number 8 numerical 2 and deleted via agreement with the complete probe B in conformity with the completeness condition in number 69. EPP feature of B attracts the closest active goal, namely there. To move the become the specifier of B movement resulting in deletion of the APP feature on B derives in number 73. The resulting structure will be then merged with a null declarative complementizer and B will ultimately be spelled out as the third person plural present tense from R. Required all uninterpretable feature have been deleted from 73, so only the bold interpretable feature are seen by the semantic component. Note that an important assumption which is incorporated into the analysis presented here is that all the agreement, case assignment, movement, and deletion operation which apply on the T cycle apply simultaneously, in conformity with the simultaneity condition in number 18. The further K assumption we have made is that T can agree with the multiple goals so that example T B agrees with both there and several prizes in number 71. It might seem that allowing a probe to agree with multiple goals creates unwelcome asymmetries between movement and agreement. Because in consequence of attract closest condition, the APP feature of T only triggers movement of a single goal to spec T, whereas agreement can target more than one goal. However, this potential difference between movement and agreement can be reconciled if we suppose that an agreeing head probes only as far as the closest complete goal which can value and delete all its agreement features, so allowing B to probe as far as several prizes in number 71. It would follow that agreement and EPP features alike can only probe as far as the closest constituent, which will satisfy all the requirements, and this condition in turn to the economy condition of Chomsky in 1989, page 69, requiring that there should be no superfluous steps in derivation, so that once a probe has satisfied its requirements, it ceases to probe any further. The EPP feature on B in number 71 searches for a goal with person. It ceases to probe once it locates the closest person specified goal, namely there. Um, since the agreement features on B require a complete goal with both person and number, their probe as far as the QP several prices. Consider the derivation of ECM structure in number 74. Explain the verb be merges with its QP complement several problems to form the V bar be several problems. This V bar is then merged with the expletive pronoun there to form the VP there be several problems. The VP result is in turn merged with infinitival 2, which, being defective in ECM clauses, carries only EPP and person features. In forming the structure, simplified form in number 75 below. The unvalued and interpretable person feature on the probe 2 is valued as third person via multiple agreement with the two third person goals there and several problems. It is also deleted via person agreement with the complete goal several problems. Explain the unvalued and interpretable case feature on the goal several problems cannot be valued or deleted by the probe 2, and likewise the uninterpretable third person feature and the expletive goal there cannot be deleted by the probe 2, because 2 is a defective probe which does not have a complete set of features in that 2 has person but not a number. If a feature on 2 triggers the closest person specified goal there to spec T and is therefore thereafter deleted in deriving the structure in number 76. The ECM verb expecting then merge with the TP number 76 and with its subject John to form the VP shown in number 77 below. As we have assumed, structural case marking involves agreement between probe and goal. It follows that the transitive verb expecting in number 77 will enter the derivation with unvalued, uninterpretable person and number features, which make it an active probe. The verb expecting thus probes until all its agreement features have been valued, locates expletive there as a goal, but since there can only value the person feature on the verb expecting, it continues to probe until it locates a goal like the QP several problems, which is active and which carries both person and number features. The abstract person and number feature on the verb expecting are valued as third person via agreement with both there and several problems, and as a plural via agreement with several problems. The person and number feature on the probe expecting are also deleted via agreement with the complete goal several problems. Case feature on the goal several problem is valued as accusative in accordance with number 46 above and concomitantly deleted via agreement with the complete probe expecting. The transitivity of the verb expecting being reflected in the fact that it has an external agreement, namely John. The uninterpretable third person feature on the expletive goal there is deleted via person agreement with complete probe expecting. In number 78, explain that merging the resulting VP with a T constituent containing the progressive auxiliary B, and then merging the resulting TP with a null declarative complementizer ultimately derives the structure associated with number 74. John is expecting there to be several problems. Descriptive observation which we note in passing is that the verb be seems to function as an accusative predicate in structure number 79. Be differs from the other unaccusative predicate predicates in seemingly requiring the use of expletive there with an indefinite associate. As we see the number 80 below, it explains that perhaps suggests that B is listed in the lexicon as obligatory requiring expletive there as its specifier with their perhaps serving as a locative argument. This will be the summary of our report. In this chapter, we have taken a look at Chomsky's recent work on the case of agreement and movement. In 7.2, we saw that agreement plays an integral role in case assignment, in that nominative case is assigned to a nominal, example, noun or pronoun expressions, which agrees in person and number with a finite t. In 7.3, we argued that some features enter the derivation already valued, example, the tense feature of T and the person or number of P features of non-expletive nominals. Whereas others, example, the P features of T and the case feature of nominals are initially unvalued and are assigned values in the course of the derivation via a case, agreement, or agreement feature valuation operation. In 7.4, we argued that agreement and case marking involve a relation between an active probe and an active goal, and that probe and goal are only active if they carry one or more uninterpretable features. Example, uninterpretable P features or case features. We also that we also saw that uninterpretable features have to be deleted in the course of the derivation by a feature deletion operation in order to ensure that they do not feed into the semantic component and thereby cause the derivation to crash because they are eligible in the semantic component. And we posited that a feature becomes inactive in the syntax and invisible to the semantic component once deleted, while remaining visible to the PF component. In 7.5, we suggested that expletive it enters the derivation with an interpretable third person and singular number features, and that this value delete and in turn are deleted by those of the auxiliary in the sentences such as it is said that he has taken bribes. We argued that an expletive originates with an intransitive BP which has no external argument. In 7.6, we argued that expletive there carries only an interpretable third-person feature. We looked at the distribution of expletive pronouns and concluded that expletive there is used in structures where a verb has indefinite nominal, eternal argument, and expletive it in structures where there is no other active agreeing pronominal goal. In 7.7, we outlined Chomsky's agreement-based account of a movement under a, which a movement involves an agreement relation between an active probe with an EPP feature and an active goal, and we noted that EPP feature of T is satisfied and deleted by movement of the closest active goal to spec T. In 7.8, we look at the syntax of infinitive clauses. We saw that the PRO subject of a control infinitive originates within VP and that it is attracted to move to spec T by an infinitival 2 which carries non-finite tense and an EPP feature and which agrees in person and number with and assigns null case to PRO. In 7.9, we went on to argue that T in the other types of infinitive clause, example the infinitival complements of raising, passive, and ECM predicates, is defective in that although it carries an irritable EPP and person features, it lacks the number feature carried by T and T in finite or controlled clauses. And in 7.10, we extended this analysis to defective clauses with expletive subjects. The key assumptions which we have made in this chapter are summarized. Number 81, earliness principle. Operations apply as early as possible in the derivation. 82, feature composition of T in English. 1. T always carries an EPP feature and person feature in all types of clauses. 2. T also carries a number of feature in complete clauses which are CPs, though not in defective clauses which are only TPs. Number 83. Feature valuation agreement and case assignment. When an active probe like T agrees with one or more active goals in its local domain. 1. The unvalued person or number P features on the probe will be valued. Example, assign a value which is a copy of that on the goal. Second, the unvalued case features on the goals will be valued. Example, assign a value dependent on the nature of the probe. Nominative if the probe is a finite T, null case if the probe is a null T with non-finite tens. Accusative if the probe is transitive. Number 84. Feature deletion. An interpretable case or agreement feature on a constituent is deleted when agrees with a complete constituent which carries a complete set of person and number P features. Completeness condition. An interpretable EPP feature on a probe is deleted by movement of the closest active goal of the relevant type to become the specifier of the probe. EPP condition. Once deleted, a feature becomes invisible in the syntactic and semantic components and hence inactive in the syntax while remaining visible in the PF component invisibility condition. Number 85. Simultaneity condition. All syntactic operations which involve a given probe apply simultaneously. Number 86. Expletive conditions. External argument condition. Number 1. An expletive can only be merged as the highest argument of a verb with no external argument. Second, indefiniteness condition. Expletive there can only be merged with a verb which has an indefinite, nominal, or pronominal internal argument. 86. 87. Probe condition. A head probes only as far as needed in order to find a goal which can value any unvalued features on the probe and delete any uninterpretable features on the probe. Thank you for listening. God bless.